Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on my channel. It is Kevin here and today we are talking about how I got my agent. Now you might, if you've been here for a very long time, you may be thinking, oh, haven't I already seen this video? But that was 2 years ago when I had barely any subscribers, so I'm positive none of you saw that video when it first came out. You may have seen it since. If you have, I apologize. It's a very bad video. I just rewatched it to like make sure I was refreshed on some of my points I wanted to talk about. Let me tell you, that video is a mess. I would not recommend going to watch it, but I'll go ahead and link it anyway so you can laugh at me because I was very clearly not comfortable being in front of the camera yet, and I was so young and little and I had the skinniest little chubby face. That doesn't make any sense, but you know what I mean. Right before I started recording this, I started to get a really bad headache, so today, this is gonna be interesting because I need to record and edit and upload this video for the live show on Laura's channel. So if you're watching this 4:30 today, hour and a half from now, there's gonna be a live show over on Laura's channel. Watch the rest of this video and run over there. So I went through and I made a list, just as my grandma would have done before she passed, on an envelope because I couldn't find any paper, of things I want to talk about. So let's get started. So today's video is just, again, is how I got my agent. Now I do want to say disclaimer that every story is different. Mine is different than the traditional query and got agent. It's just different, and yeah. So I'm just gonna get started and tell you how I got my agent, whose name is also Rena Rossner, in case I don't talk about her enough. My first bullet point was all stories are different. 2, query letters and synopsis. Before you, this is just a little tip, I guess, little insider information. It's not really insider information. If you plan on getting an agent, you probably already know this, but if you want to query an agent, you do need to have a query letter. So if you don't know what a query letter is, there's lots of information online about it, how to write a good one, things like that. There are places you can get critiques on them, such as Absolute Right has a forum specifically called Query Letter Hell, where you can just go on there and critique people's and people will critique yours, things like that. So there's lots of things online to help you out with that. So that's what a query letter is. You need one to query an agent. Some agents also require a synopsis. Usually it's either 1 or 3 pages, I believe. Luckily Rena did not, because I have since written one for one of my books that needed to go to an editor at some point a while back. It didn't lead to anything, so why did I even do it? But synopsis suck, I'm not gonna lie to you. Some people like them, I hate them. Hate it. But there's lots of stuff online about that too. And you might like it, I don't know, you might like it. But how did I get mine? So this story goes way back to 2016, and it was during a DVPit. And if you don't know what DVPit is, it is a Twitter pitch contest to see if agents are interested in your book. And DVPit is specifically for diverse writers, such as LGBT, different ethnicities, different, just diverse stuff. Go check out the website. Beth Failing created it. It's a great contest. So what I did is, there are some rules around like what you can tweet. I think it's like 3 a day, or maybe that's PitMad. I don't know. It's all on the website, so go check it out. It's linked in the description below. Everything I talk about today is gonna be linked in the description below. So I did DVPit, and I think I got like 12 maybe hearts on that on Twitter. So they wanted to read it. So when you do, what was the next one? Isn't this the next one? So you need to check if an agent likes your thing, make sure you read your tweet. Make sure you go to their feed and see what their guidelines are, because it does vary agent to agent. Some will have you send like the first 50 pages, the first chapter, the first 3 chapters. Some will say to put DVPit in the headline, the subject line, like that's what Rena did, so that way she knew to get to mine, like she could see it in her inbox. For instance, Rena came back from vacation recently. I think she said she had like almost 400 queries, and that was after being on vacation for like a week and a half, I think. Yeah. So make sure you read their Twitter timeline, or whatever it's called. Is it called the Twitter timeline? Feed? Damien, what's it called on Twitter?
Feed. I think it's actually called both.
Timeline. Twitter's a bird, so feed. Make sure you read those to find out what they want. So I got, like I said, I think 12 or, I don't know, 12 or 15. I think I actually got more than 12, but I only ended up sending it out to 12 because you do want to look over their stuff and see if like you think you'd be a right fit. Some of them seemed like this kind of actually feels like a scam, so I didn't send it to some people, but I think I sent it to like around 12. Started getting rejections in. That sucked, but like the whole time I was like, okay, but if I don't get an agent by the time PitMad comes around, which is another Twitter pitch contest, but this one's specifically just open to anyone, and that one was created by Brenda Drake, I believe. And I told myself, if I don't have an agent by then, what will it hurt to go ahead and pitch in that as well? Just get myself up there as much as possible. So I went ahead and did that. No, before that, right before PitMad started, there were a couple of agents I knew I specifically wanted to query. I think there was like 2 or 3. Oh, I thought that was a bug on the floor. I thought there was like 2 or 3 that I knew I wanted to query because I liked books and authors they represented. So I sent out query letters to those people, and then PitMad came around and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do PitMad as well. I started getting more rejections in. Let me just say, cold querying, I got form rejections on every single one I sent out. When I started getting rejections in for DVPit, they were usually, I think I got a couple of form rejections, but for the most part, it was like, I like the story, but not your writing, or I liked your writing, but not necessarily the story. Some of them said, you know, make sure when your next project comes along, you send it to me because I like your writing, but this story isn't working for me, things like that. So I did get some things that weren't straight up form rejections, and I did get some full requests. So there's full request, like I said, an agent can say, send me 1 or 2 chapters. And then usually from what I hear, they'll say, okay, well, send me, if agents really love it, they'll ask for the full, which is your entire manuscript. Or sometimes they'll say, okay, send me the first 50 pages. It really varies, but yeah. So I went ahead and I did PitMad, and in the middle of PitMad, my friend Becky, she had read my manuscript and she liked it and she critiqued it, and she decided to retweet it because part of PitMad in the rules says if you like something, instead of liking it to get that writer's hopes up, like, oh, I got an agent liking my tweet, to retweet it instead, so that way it like shows up on the like higher list. This might have changed since then. That was 3 years ago, so make sure you read the rules. DVPit, I believe, doesn't have that. So no retweeting. I could be wrong. Maybe it's quote retweeting. Either way, make sure you read the rules before you join in any of these Twitter contests, because there's nothing more annoying than somebody that comes in there and doesn't know what they're doing and like sending out a tweet every like 5 minutes for the full 24 hours, which I've seen happen, and it's like you're not paying attention. Yeah, and all it's gonna do, if you don't pay attention to the rules and do the Twitter pitch contests correctly, it's just gonna annoy agents, and then they're not gonna want to read your stuff. So don't cut yourself short. Don't jump over the rules. Read through them. Make sure you're doing it correctly. Going back to Becky, she retweeted it, and an agent followed her, that agent being Rena Rossner. And so Rena replied to the retweet and said, oh, I'd love to read this book. What is that? There's a shadow on the wall in the kitchen. I thought you were in there.
No.
What's in the kitchen then? Is there a demon?
I think it's probably your reef that keeps dancing.
Oh, I forgot I got a plant. I replied to Rena and I said, first I looked at her Twitter and like some of her clients and things like that, and wanted to know a little bit more about her before I just was like, yeah. And I decided I wanted to send her my stuff since she liked it and I liked like what she seemed to be about. So I replied to the tweet and I said, how should I send this to you? And because I couldn't find it on her Twitter feed. I don't remember if I just didn't look, or I did look, but I don't remember if I just couldn't find it or if she wasn't planning on doing PitMad, I don't remember. But she replied and said, she replied to me and said, you know, send me the full manuscript, which was surprising to me that she wanted to see the full manuscript already. And your query letter, make sure you put this in the subject line so I can find it. And I sent it. So after DVPit, I got so like excited and adrenaline rush because I got so much interest right away that it kind of led to like this downward, because I think there was a couple months in between the two between PitMad and DVPit, and what I didn't realize is like I'm gonna go weeks without hearing anything because I heard so much up front. So after I sent it to Rena, I think I got a couple other likes. I didn't get as many likes in PitMad, so I think I got maybe like 2 other ones, and I don't even think I ended up sending them out. Or maybe I did, a long time ago. And I expected to wait weeks to hear anything. Lo and behold, I woke up the next morning and Rena had emailed me back and said that she stayed up all night long reading it and she loved it and wanted to have a phone call. That phone call I talk more about in my video, having the call with an agent or the agent or something like that. I don't remember how I worded it now, but I talk way more in depth about that conversation with Rena that I had in the phone call. So I'll go ahead and link it up here in the spaces above. So you can go ahead and watch that video if you'd like to know more about how that call went with Rena. So after the call, what I did is I talked about this in the other video as well, is you can't, most agents will say like, okay, you have 2 weeks to decide, or they're okay with you asking for 2 weeks, because I had fulls out with a handful of other agents. And so I sent out emails to those other agents that still had fulls, and I said, you know, I got offered representation. I just wanted to let you know, see if you want to like throw your hat in the ring, basically. There are lots of templates online of what you can say actually to these agents. All this stuff, there's templates online that you can find very easily. I did get some immediate rejections at that point. Some agents were like, you know, I'm not gonna have time to read this in that time period, so I really appreciate you letting me, good luck, blah, blah, blah. So I did get some immediate rejections, and then I did get some rejections like a few days later, things like that, like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and finish it. And then they got rejected it after that, blah, 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 things like that. Ultimately, I decided to end up going with Rena because I knew from the very moment I had that phone call with her that she just like got it, and I wanted to sign with her, but she told me to take the 2 weeks. She's like, no, take the 2 weeks. And so I did. Again, if you wanna know more about that phone call, go ahead and that link I put up earlier. After I accepted it, I had to get my contract before I could announce it. So the thing is that Rena is actually based in Israel, and there's some perks to having an agent that's based in other countries. For instance, when you get paid for your manuscript, the money goes to your agent first, and then your agent, and then to you. So the way it works when you have an agent in another country, the publisher pays you both at the same time rather than like stacked. At least that's what, from my understanding, was what I was told from an agent sibling, that you get paid at the same time. So you don't have to wait as long to get paid. I don't know if I noticed that anyway, but that's a perk, I guess. But because she was in another country, I had to wait for my contract to come in the mail. In the meantime, while I was waiting for my contract to come in the mail, Rena and I did start working on my manuscript. So I knew I was gonna sign with her. I was gonna sign the contract. I already accepted it. And so we started working on the contract, on the manuscript. And I think we went through like 4 different rounds of it. The very first round alone, she cut out like 20,000 words, and I was like, she did win it with a chainsaw. But then like going through this what I'm working on now, I'm realizing that it's probably a lot of filler words, because Laura, she pointed out that I do a lot of filler words, and I noticed them. So that's probably what Rena was cutting out. And we did, I think, like 4 rounds, and then I ended up, did I skip something? No. And then I went on submission, and that's a whole nother video I plan on making about being on submission. I'm gonna have a guest for that video who is going to talk about his experience, and for once it's not gonna be Damien. But speaking of Damien, one second. Damien, come here!
What are you gonna ask?
Just sit for just a second, sorry. He's taller than me. You give a really like 10-second spiel of how you got your agent.
I submitted a picture book to like 3 different people after like I sent like a novel out to maybe like 30 people, and they kind of all turned it down. A few people read it and then rejected it, and then I thought I'd try a picture book. So I sent it out to like 3 people, and then one of them contacted me back that she forwarded it to another agent in her agency, and then that agent contacted me to reject the picture book and then asked me if I wanted to make a graphic novel. And then I signed with her. Actually, I signed with her purely on like speculation that I could do a graphic novel, which is sort of, I really didn't have much of a manuscript. I had like 3 pages or something that she signed me on. But I think it might be a little bit different because I had a lot of work online that was similar. So I kind of had samples of, I had samples of what I could do. And she was like, okay, just basically do more of this.
Yeah, that is not normal though. So don't expect to write 3 chapters of a book and get signed on it.
Yeah, it's also because it's a graphic novel, and sometimes like coming upon like a writer artist, they're like, oh, I need this person because they can do both. Because usually people do one or the other.
Because they can pay you less.
Well, they pay you like half as much. I don't know. I don't actually know how payment works when you're an illustrator and an author working in a team.
You might find out eventually.
Yeah.
Anyway, and your agent's name is?
Elizabeth Bennett. Not from, what is it, Pride and Prejudice? I think she says that right on her agency page. Actually, when I signed, my agency thing was really weird and convoluted. I signed with 2 agents at the same time, like the head agent of the agency and then like the other, like my main agent, and then like a couple, I think maybe 6 months in, my agency was eaten by another agency. And then I had to sign a bunch of paperwork again. It was really long and kind of confusing for someone who was like new to the game.
That's something you don't have to worry, that's not that common.
Yeah, my experience is incredibly uncommon now that I list it out.
Maybe someday I'll have him come on and do a full version of it.
Yeah, I mean, I did the same thing you did. I think I actually, what is it, the DVPit thing? I think I pitched in the same thing as you, and I got...
Is that why you started following me?
I think it was around the time...
That's when Adam started following me, was that DVPit.
Yeah, and Becky had tweeted about you and stuff, so I started following you, but also I had pitched something, and it got like maybe 2 likes or something, and then I deleted it out of embarrassment, because like no one...
But some people don't get any.
Yeah, but the 2 likes are from people who follow me who have nothing to do with publishing.
That's why you need to not.
It's really like, you're only supposed to like the posts if you're an agent or an editor or something like in the, like it's not supposed to be your friends just liking it.
So like that kind of sucks because you can't really explain, like you can try and explain to your friend not to, but.
Yeah, they're just like, oh my god, you should get published, wee, and then like it.
Okay, that's it. If you ever have any conversations, if you ever have any questions for Damien about his publishing stuff, because his stuff is different than young adult, he does write graphic novels.
Like middle grade graphic novels, like very different from all this. But I used to write young adult.
A bunch of middle grade graphic novels behind
Yeah.
This. He may return to young adult one day.
Yeah, if I don't get unanimously rejected. All of my young adult books just get unanimously rejected, except Rena read it once.
Really?
Yeah, and then turned me down. Okay,
Yeah, you can go now. I'm gonna have to have a conversation with Rena. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, it was probably sloppy, to be honest.
So that's all I got for you today. That was Damian's little spiel and mine. Again, if you have any questions for Damian ever, I can always do a video with him. If you have any questions for him, I can do like a ask him anything, an aha video. If you have any questions for Damian ever, or like want to see him in more videos talking about his side of publishing or like how things went for him, you know, just let me know. You can always comment or DM me on Instagram or something, or Twitter, or whatever, all those things. Okay, that's all I got for you today. So if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button below. If you love the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe. Am I pointing the wrong way? Yep, I think I am. Subscribe and like. Okay, subscribe. Okay, goodbye, and make sure you're there at the live thing. Oh, Rena is a writer as well, which I like. Both of her books are linked in the description below. Okay, goodbye.